taught us everything. Christians knew everything. So there was no sense. In fact, it would be heresy to really take seriously this spiritual teaching out in this continent, of this continent. And that type of alienation has gone through the totality of our lives. We cannot see in law and in morality and Christian teaching the idea that right now the generally immoral teaching of Christians is that we don't damage natural things, that we owe it to ourselves. It doesn't, we don't owe it to the natural world, we owe it to ourselves to be more considerate. But they are they are objects to be exploited, not subjects to be communed with. And that is the difficulty. And since they're not subjects, they have no rights. Objects don't have rights. Subjects do have rights. You cannot see so simply that rights are diverse, because the rights of one don't mean anything to another person. The rights of a tree to be a tree and to fulfill its role as a tree wouldn't mean anything to particularly to a fish who needs rights to his habitat. He needs rights. The fish needs special rights. Everything has, but everything has rights. Rights to be what it is and to fulfill its role in the nature of things, in the community. Because if rights are denied to any member of the community of existence, then everything in the community is damaged. You cannot damage one mode of being without the other. This is rather long. But this, I shouldn't keep you much longer. But I want to say something about the university. This is particularly sad about the university. When I think of the four establishments, I figure the religious establishment's too pious, the economic establishment too acquisitive, political establishment too subservient, and that the university, of course, it has its subservience too. But as was mentioned, the university is what, to my mind, is the ultimate appeal that we have. And the university, more than any other force in the modern Western civilization, bears, perhaps together perhaps with the religious establishment, the greatest responsibility for where we are and the devastation we have done. It's the university that trains the technicians, that trains the engineers to do the damage that they do. It trains the chemists. Just take chemistry. In the 1930s, late 1930s, in this country we were making 500,000 tons of industrial chemicals every year. That's 500,000. Now we're making 200 million tons of industrial chemicals every year. And the university has become subservient to the corporations which are engineering the whole thing, together with the communications media that trains us psychically to be the consumers, to be the cooperators, to be involved in this rather inadequate process. So, what is the positive thing to say about the university? What we need to do, I think, is, as regards education, is to follow the directions of Maria Montessori. In a book that she wrote, one of the lectures that she gave in the 1930s, and it's published under the title Education of the Human Potential. And it has to do with the education of 6-year-olds. And there she points out that the child must find its place at that early age at the center of the universe, because the universe is the answer to all questions. It's, she doesn't say text without context, but everything else is a text within that context. And as soon as the child begins to experience the universe, the child's imagination is expanded, the emotions are exalted, the whole liberation is experienced, and an ecstatic type of enjoyment is in the child, like when a child runs across a meadow. A child has the native experiences that a child should have. It's that wonderful, wonderful thing. So that, but she says that the sense of the universe is must be dominant, and then she tells the story of the universe. Now, when the universe story was being printed that Brian Swim and I did, I came across this book. It was the first time I came across this particular book of Maria Montessori, and I felt that she had already done in the 30s what we had done in the 90s. That what she did was to explain the relation of the child to the universe, and then she told the story of the universe. Now, there are many scientists that have written about the universe, written essays about the universe. But so far as I know, there are a couple that come close to it, but so far as I know, the book that Brian Swim and I have written is the only story of the universe that is written out of contemporary scientific data in a very strict way. And so that we don't have a story of the universe on which to base our education. Now, the story of the universe should be taught. It should be this story that we have written, I think, needs to be written for for parents that can tell the story to 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds or 1-year-old maybe, or maybe before that. But the question is, we don't have a story, and you can't educate, and you can't have a meaningful life, I don't think, for society, or you cannot have a coherent community without a community story. Now, this sense of the universe story, I think, is the most important single thing that we need. We have the story, it's there, but this is a story that's told in every leaf, it's told in every animal, it's told in the wind, it's told by the whole universe. Everything tells the story of the universe. And we, through our science, have now developed a sensitivity to this. We know this story in such a beautiful way, such a wonderful way, but we can write about it, but we don't know how to incorporate this, or how to understand it, or how to enable it to shape the nobility of our lives. So, my proposal then is that, well, this is what I tell college administrators and faculties whenever I get a chance to. I say that ecology is not a course, it's not a program, it's the foundation of all programs, all courses, all professions, because ecology is a functional cosmology. Ecology is a functional cosmology. And that's what we're missing. We are missing a functional cosmology. And that, I think, is the responsibility of the university at the present time. It's not simply a question of interacting subdivisions of a university. What is going to give a coherence to the university, simply because departments talk to each other, is not going to give coherence to the whole process. The only way of giving coherence to the whole process is to have some overall context of meaning in which the different functions achieve their identity and are inherently related to each other. They're bound to be inherently related to each other because the universe emerges in this way. There's one thing that's necessary for this, is to recognize that the universe has this psychic spirit component from the beginning. That is, it's not a mechanistic thing. When that supernova collapsed, or that star collapsed in its supernova phase and exploded to establish the 90-some elements out of which the solar system took shape and the planet Earth and all that, that was not just a physical process. That carried a psychic meaning and expression. How do you know what something is? Not simply by reducing it downward, but also by reducing it upwards. In other words, you know what carbon is. If you just took carbon apart from life, apart from consciousness, you wouldn't know carbon, because carbon is the basis of life, it's the basis of organic existence, and there's no thought without that life structure that is based on carbon. Carbon has that mysterious, mystical capacity. And so the universe. If the universe makes intelligence, the universe is an intelligence-producing process. It doesn't take a lot of reasoning to figure that. So if it produces beauty, it's a beauty-making process. So that if you don't just reduce downward, you also reduce upward. We know things by what they do. We know an oak tree because it makes acorns, and so forth. A peach tree because it produces peaches. The universe produces a reflection on itself, therefore it's a consciousness-producing process. And the whole of the, throughout the whole psychic structure of the life process itself. So, the university. It has its department, and it has the universe is the model for everything, for architecture. The natural systems are the great architects. As regards healing, the natural world is the great healer. It produces all our healing qualities. It's a great economic resource. It's the context of everything, and is the basis of everything that we have or ever could have. So I think that the university needs to rethink itself, putting cosmology. I don't like cosmology is a little putting the universe, not cosmology, but putting the universe as the context, as the unifying context in which it envisages itself, and that the university is that structure in which the universe reflects on itself and communicates itself to the human community. It reflects on itself in its different aspects. Its aspect of music, its aspect of economic well-being, its aspect of the medical profession, its aspect of law. I think law particularly is important because as soon as we begin developing human law, and that was the defect of our whole Western civilization, particularly of the medieval period, that differentiated completely between the law of nature, which governed the non-human order, and the natural law governing the human. It tried to get all human legal or moral obligation out of the definition of the human, that the human must act as a reasonable being. We're a reasonable being, we must act as such. But to try to get a total legal or total moral or legal program simply out of the human without considering that the laws of the universe, the laws of the earth, the laws of life are the laws of humans. Only we are able to articulate this in conscious structure and with an elaborated freedom of action that is distinctively human, just as other beings have their own distinctive way. So I don't know if that said much about the university, but the paper that I wrote, I think, maybe have some of this stated more clearly. Well, I thank you for listening. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your time. Thank you.